Everybody. Week 7 discussion board. Okay, we have another scenario. We've done these a couple of times. This one is obviously unique to PowerPoint. So you're collaborating with a colleague or a friend of yours named Karen on a presentation for work. This is something you're going to be sending off to managers or executives, VPs, basically people kind of the higher ups in whatever organization or whatever company you work for. And this is a group project. Karen has taken it upon herself to really do most of the work. She may think she's doing the right thing, but we find out very quickly she's not. What she gives you to kind of go over, to look over, is abysmal. It's terrible. I mean, and we do this intentionally, so you have a lot that you can say about this, but really, there's nothing good to say about it at all. So your goal is twofold. One is what went wrong, talk about it, and how would you fix it. The other one is how do you break this news to her, okay? So it's not just a matter of how do you use PowerPoint effectively, it's how do you do constructive criticism effectively? Now, this is something that we touch upon in this class just a little bit, but this is going to factor into a number of your other classes in subsequent terms, is learning how to take constructive criticism and also learning how to give it. Sounds easy, it's not easy, okay? So we want to be very mindful of that. So it's obvious that Karen made a lot of mistakes. It's obvious that this thing really is garbage. I don't know how else to say it. Karen's not here to listen, so I can say that. But what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? And be specific. Some people will say, well, I don't like the colors, and I don't like the font, and I think they should change. Well, that's great. What does that mean? What would you do? Okay. And then also, maybe this is an opportunity for you to give some tips and tricks, some tools of the trade, if you will, if you've used PowerPoint, on the things you should do and the things you shouldn't do in general. Now, remember, the lecture does talk about this, but feel free to kind of go out there on the internet and do some looking, see if you can find some tips and tricks, things that professionals would recommend you do and that you wouldn't do. The goal is just to show me that it's not just you know how to use PowerPoint and all the different nifty features, but you know how to use it professionally. Because trust me, you're going to need to know this at some point. Even if you don't think you're going to be using PowerPoint on the job, you're going to be using PowerPoint here at Bryan Stratton. And you want to make sure you know how to use it professionally. You want to make sure you're consistent with, for instance, the font choice. You're consistent with the animations you use or the transition, kind of those things that happen in between slides. Consistency is key. You want to make sure you're not overloading slides with too much data, too many words, things like that. So just be very mindful of what you would do specifically to fix this, and then talk about kind of professional use of this. But make sure you also mention something about that constructive criticism. How do you break this to Karen? She might think she's doing a great job. She might think she's doing you a solid, but we know that's not the case. So how do you break the bad news to her in a really kind of good, constructive way, but also, something that doesn't break her heart. Anyway, this is always a very interesting conversation. Keep your eyes peeled for another discussion topic. I know you guys have liked doing them. I've really enjoyed reading what you have to say in those additional threads. So keep your eyes peeled for that too. Thanks, folks.